Hey guys, welcome back. Now the gloves are off officially when it comes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I've been wanting to do this review from the second that I watched the movie. But I think it's very important, friends, to recognize that when we watch a movie, we get a little emotional. And how many times have we, for example, watched a movie and felt immediately afterwards as to say to ourselves, that was one of the best movies I've ever seen. I felt like that about a couple of movies, a handful of movies. I want to say maybe 5, 6, 7 movies. But what I'm trying to say is when we watch a movie, our first impression, typically we can be a little emotional. So I think it's so important that when we watch a movie, we give it time to allow it to kind of sink in a little bit. Because when I first watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, initially it was like, oh man, that was like the top 3 movies I've ever seen. But after I let it simmer a little bit, I've come down from those emotions. But what my first impression was when I first saw Spider-Man was, I really liked, first of all, how they introduced Gwen Stacy. I like how they were able to bring in a whole new character as to almost feel like if she was supposed to be the main character and who the movie was supposed to be about. And then they, of course, transitioned to Miles. And then adding his comedic personality to the picture versus her very serious personality and having kind of a dark past versus Miles. He has a very loving family and a family that supports him. And so to see them come together, it's almost kind of touching. And I think for a lot of people that are outside of Marvel fans, they can find real enjoyment when it comes to this movie because of that feature. It's sort of like a love movie in many ways, and it's not your traditional love movie, but here in this case you got 2 superheroes that are falling in love with each other, which is kind of cool, and I'm curious to see how it ends. I also wrote down what I liked about the movie the most, and I think what I liked about the movie was just the scenes that are very difficult to capture in live action movies, but with animated films you can capture these scenes in a different way. Spider-Man being one of the first movies to introduce this comic book-like movie, and one scene in particular that I like was when Miles, he's hanging from the punching bag at the end of the movie, and his feet are dangling from the floor, and you can see the angle of the camera from the bottom. Obviously, it's not a real camera, but it's as if to capture that scene in real life, it would have been difficult, but it was such it was a scene that really had a lot of power because it really showed how vulnerable Miles was kind of in that moment. And then to find out who the Prowler was, being Miles himself in a different universe, I couldn't believe my eyes. It threw me off so much that, that is what made me so emotional at the end of the movie. I was like, wow, that movie was so great, right? But we're also seeing a lot of other movies sort of take on that theme. Like very recently, the Ninja Turtles movie. It took on kind of that comic book-like movie, which I think is pretty cool. And I think we'll see a lot more movies like Spider-Man. So it's a first of its trend. Now, where it ranks for me in terms of animated movies, I gotta say, in terms of animated movies, Across the Spider-Verse is probably the best movie I've ever seen. In terms of animated films, of course. And I think what really made the movie special, and I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say this, is the music. I think music can really make movies that much more special. And I think a lot of production companies, they have to realize that sometimes we don't want to look at a scene for 10 seconds and watch a song play for 10 seconds. I think it's important to really simmer, let ourselves be in that moment for a while. Elemental is a good example of that. You're in that scene with the song for like a minute and 20 seconds, and it just feels special, and it makes you live in the moment of that the characters that are in the movie, that moment that they're living in. It makes you feel like you're there. So in terms of how Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse ranks, with the box office of 2023, I think you guys are actually going to be shocked to hear that Spider-Man just landed outside of the top 5 at number 6 for the year. Barbie being number 1, and I'm not even going to comment on that movie, nor do I ever plan on doing a review on it. I guess if you guys bother me enough about it, I might just do it, but you might not like it. So, spoiler there. But yeah, Spider-Man did very well for the box office this year. Number 6, and it brought in over $690 million. For an animated film, I think that's pretty amazing. It beat out the second highest animated film, I should say the third, being Elemental. And then Super Mario Brothers being the number 2 movie of the year. And that was over $1 billion. I think that was a long anticipated movie. And I think it was a movie that is worth doing a review on for sure. So I look forward to bringing that to you guys when the time comes. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Continue supporting the channel by commenting down below what your movies that you want me to do reviews on are. Thank you. Have a great day.